Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast. This is the podcast where digital discussions to the worlds of pop culture, social media, music, sports, anything depending on the guest. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. Twitter goes PD Beats. Really excited to be joined by actress Abigail Winter. Abigail has been recently seen on a very popular Canadian show, Mary Kills People. You've also seen her on the drama Between, which can be seen on Netflix. Abigail, welcome to Popternative.
Thank you for having me.
So I mentioned it right off the bat, Mary Kills People. You're in that show. It's a very exciting time for Canadian television, Canadian film. There's so much good content out there. Talk a little bit about Mary Kills People, your role in that show, and like what people can expect from it.
So Mary Kills People is about a doctor who's an ER doctor by day, Mary, and then at night she kind of moonlights as a person who helps people with terminal illness with assisted suicide. And so I play her daughter, Jess, who has no idea what she does on the side. So it creates a life of a lot of secrets. Mary has to lie to her family, to her coworkers. It's a dark comedy, and it tackles some really, really important issues, but it still keeps a thread of lightness in it, which I think why so many people love it, because there's something for everyone in it.
Oh, absolutely. You were also on Between, which I think has a little bit of like a quote-unquote like cult following, because they put it on Netflix and everyone seems to know and love that show.
Yeah, I know. I still get weird messages from people, or great messages too, but everyone seems to, there is a cult following. It was really fun to shoot. It seems like so long ago now, but it took place in this fictitious town, and they had all the props and the sets and everything these people start dying after they hit 21. And I played this kind of the good girl, then the jock falls in love with her, and it was fun. It was fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
When did you kind of decide that you wanted to be an actress? I mean, was that kind of something that you've always kind of had in your back pocket, or is it something that kind of maybe not necessarily just happened, but if it was just something later down the road that you kind of discovered that you wanted to do, or like when did it all start for you?
I started acting when I was 6 years old, so I didn't necessarily make a decision that, okay, this is what I want to do. And it one thing kind of led to another, and then it was probably around when I was 16 or 17 when I started doing film and TV more seriously that I decided for myself, okay, I love this is what I want to do. So it was very gradual. It was never like a big dream that I had. But the more I did it, the more I fell in love with it.
No, absolutely. I mean, you got to do what you love. I always kind of say that for everything. I mean, what has been kind of what's your favorite thing about being an actress and like having these characters come to life? Is there something about it that kind of drives you towards it? What is it about acting that you love?
That's a great question. I think the most, there's this thing that happens when, the crew has set everything, the lights are set, the sound is ready, and the director calls action. And until then, you're rehearsing and you're not kind of doing it fully, but you know what you're doing. And then there's this thing that happens between two people. You're doing a scene, and there's just this electric connection between, doesn't matter who it is, but you're just both right there, and you're creating something that feels as real as life, but it's not. And it's this kind of pseudo moment where, I don't know, it feels more honest than a lot of people are in everyday life. And so it's a very special way of exploring humans too, I think, and I love that part of what I do.
Is there ever like, I mean, what I find interesting too is you kind of a lot of people could see like acting and playing a character as kind of an escape or like something that they've done they want to do that is kind of different to who they are like as a real person. I mean, was there kind of like an ideal role or an ideal type of personality that you've always like kind of wanted to play, because maybe it's, you know, the opposite of who Abigail Winter is as a real person?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I would love to play like an unexpected criminal kind of thing. So she's the one that no one suspects through the whole film, but she's masterminded the whole thing. I would love to play like an action-packed film. That would be so fun.
See, that's what I love the most about like horror movies and thrillers, when they kind of, and it's hit or miss, because sometimes if someone like thinks about that angle that you just mentioned, you can kind of figure out, you know, who like the killer is or something, or the criminal. But like I love when I'm just completely like caught off guard and I don't know who it is. That's the best, but I find it really hard to do and like to produce.
Yeah, because everyone knows so much about film and TV now that you can easily kind of go, okay, this is what's happening. But yeah, when you catch them off guard, it's amazing.
It's one of those things. It's such a good time now for a lot of up and coming actors and actresses, because there's so much content out there right now. I mean, I mentioned Between, and it's, you know, it was on Netflix. People watched it. I think, do you kind of find that it's that aspect of it? I just want your perspective, because one could make an argument it's a little bit of like a double-edged sword, because you can kind of look at it and be like, wow, there's so many new shows out there, which means there's more opportunities for roles. But then you can kind of look at it the other way, and you can kind of be like, oh wow, like there's a lot of roles out there, I might not get them as much. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, like social media, like with, you know, the good and the bad. Like, I mean, I'm sure like no one really wants to think about the other side of it, but have you ever thought about that aspect of it, where there's kind of the good and the bad of the fact that there's so much content out there right now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think two things. One, the thing with so much content and good content is that the bar just keeps getting raised higher and higher. So as an actor, you kind of have to, and also because there's so many talented actors in the city and in the world, you have to keep raising the bar to meet that standard as more and more gets created. There's also this idea that the more content, it may be watered down, and it's not as, you know, it's so people can create content so quickly now, whether it's with web series, whether it's TV, film, anything, and a lot of it is amazing. But the downside of that, I think, is because people expect things quickly now, you don't maybe always get the same quality as when they used to take like months to shoot one thing, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I find it really interesting too, because you're, you know, a Canadian actress and you're starring in, you know, Canadian shows that are taking off, and it's only a matter of time where I look at shows like Mary Kills People. I mean, you look at it with like Schitt's Creek, which is on Netflix and everything, and Between, which is Canadian, that goes on Netflix, and a lot of my American friends, you know about Between. And it's one of those things where, do you, I mean, I notice it. I'm wondering if you notice it. There's a lot of Canadian talent out there that are getting really big roles. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love that, because we're such a talented country.
Yo, it's amazing. It's so great to see that you just see people popping up everywhere. That's how it should be.
And the thing is, people don't realize that they are Canadian. And then what I think is, that's always a good thing for Canada, because like Ray Minna-Black, who's been on my show, he was on Degrassi, and he was also in like the last season of Narcos, right? So people are going to kind of see him on Narcos and be like, wow, this guy's great. They're going to look back, they're going to see all the Canadian productions that he's done. So it kind of drives you back. So this is kind of the next question. What do you kind of think about this, like, quote unquote boom of like Canadian film and Canadian television? Because there's definitely been a creative boom the last couple of years, where the amount of content out there is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like, even in Toronto, you watch studios popping up everywhere. So there's not only content being created, but there's more infrastructure, and stuff is coming to shoot here more. No, it's amazing. I think Canadian TV especially has always been given this rap of being, you know, kind of stale and crusty and all these things, but it's it's the total opposite of that. And I think people are taking more risks now. I think, inspiration builds on inspiration. So you see one great thing and then you have no excuse anymore to not just, meet that. I think it's amazing. Yeah, I just finished watching all of Alias Grace and was blown away. And the quality of that stuff, Orphan Black, they're incredible shows.
No, it is. You bring up a really good point, because I find there's been a shift where people will grow up now, like up and coming actresses and actors that are going to be like, when you grow up, what do you want to do? Oh, I want to be a movie star, right? Now they're not saying that. They're saying, I want to be a TV star, because of all this amazing, huge shows that are out there.
Yeah. You
didn't really have that as much back in the day, where it was movies and then shows kind of take a little bit of a secondary, but thanks to Netflix, Hulu, HBO, it's just so many good shows. It's they're hand in hand, right? They're in a race.
Yeah. It's no longer, people used to not look down on, but a film actor wouldn't do a TV show.
Yeah, you know what I mean though, right?
Yeah, now you see people Big Little Lies, that whole cast is filled with A-list actors, and it's amazing.
It truly is amazing. One of my favorite shows from Canadian television aspect, Rookie Blue, was phenomenal. Rookie Blue was such a good show. The cast is so good. I mean, everyone in that is amazing. I mean, Mary Kills People is similar. The cast in that is phenomenal. And do you kind of... Have you do you agree with that philosophy that your whole cast, as a cast, you guys are kind of it's a one team, and everyone kind of helps each other out, even the small roles, you know what I mean? Because it's one of those things where one actor can kind of help another one out with their performance. They can kind of work hard, work from their performance and kind of build off it.
Yeah, exactly. No, 100%. The cast is amazing on the show, and it's like a team. It's you all have each other's back, and it also makes going to work way more fun, and so the spirits are up. And yeah, it's again setting the bar for quality. When you respect your other actors, when you genuinely enjoy these people, you can't help but want to do your best work too. And so you've got each other's back, and you're all working together, and a cast makes the world of a difference on a show, for sure.
What do you think about the current landscape of, not necessarily, I'm talking more web series? So we talked about kind of the creative boom and popularity of Netflix and shows and streaming, but there's been an unbelievable creative boom with web series, where shows that are being posted on YouTube. There's a Canadian web series, My Roommate's an Escort, that was based in Toronto. Trish Renaud and Katie Ullman are in that, and it's just it was on YouTube. And it has over as a whole, it's over millions of views, right? So that's kind of a new thing, and I think the end goal there is to make that into a TV show. What do you kind of think about that? It's the web series are still a big component of it all.
Yeah, I think they're great. I think one of the amazing things about web series is that there's a lot of frustrated actors who are really, really talented and creative, but just don't have their place yet. And I think that's what's so amazing, is that they're not cheap and they're not easy, but they're more accessible than going right to network kind of thing. And so I think it's an amazing tool to get your ideas out there and say, hey, look, this is what we want to do. And like you said, gather a following. People love that kind of logging into YouTube and watching the latest thing. I think it's such a smart thing and a great tool.
No, absolutely. What can we expect from Abigail Winter in 2018?
2018, let's see. So the rest of Mary Kills People is airing right now. I did an episode, I did a guest star on a show called The Detail, which is coming out in spring. I'm also working on, I have my own feature in development, which I've written. So that has a director attached to it. And
awesome. Good for you. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's my kind of big focus for this year, as well as anything else that you never know from one day to the next what you're going to be doing.
No, absolutely. I think we'll wrap up, but Abigail, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's really refreshing to kind of hear your perspective of everything. It's such it's a fun time for TV and film right now. So I hope you enjoy it. And where can people follow you on social media? What are the handles?
Okay, so I'm Abigail Winter on both Twitter and Instagram, I think. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, this has been Popternative. You can catch previous episodes of Popternative, video episodes on YouTube, audio on iTunes and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to both popternative.com for other content and features as well. Until next time, this is Abigail Winter and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.